Trust the Profits is proud to be sponsored by Game of Silks. Go to silks.io to get in the game. Real ownership, real races, real rewards.
That's right. There you have it. Very proud to announce that we have brought on a sponsorship for Trust the Profits here in the Game of Silk, something that you've seen me a little bit talking about over the last couple of weeks, a game that I've gotten involved with, and think that there's a lot of fun behind it, bringing a lot of new fans into the game. This show is called Doubling Down. My name is Colin Sheehan. Please like and subscribe. We're going down to where it all really begins for the Kentucky Derby Trail. The Lecomte Stakes is what a lot of us consider the official kickoff to Derby season. My chat in the Facebook messengers going off with everyone asking about the undercard and who they like. And that's the first time in a couple of months that that's been happening. So it shows us that it is absolutely time for Derby prep. So we're going to go to the Lecomte down at Fairgrounds. I have a very special guest on this episode of Doubling Down. That's right. He's back. It's Trust Your Luck on your Twitters. Kevin Kilroy, live down from Fairgrounds. How we doing? Welcome back to the show.
Colin, thanks for having me. Doing good, man. Doing good. I think I'm probably doing better than you up northeast. I know you got snow and all that. We just had, the schools were canceled here because it was like 25 degrees and like a millimeter of ice fell.
I got tricked because I didn't know it was going to snow, and I woke up and I'm like, wait, it snowed. And then I look at the forecast and it's like 10, 15, 20. And I had to go to work, and now it's all frozen solid, little inches of snow out of my walkway, and everyone's complaining about slipping. And once it's frozen, you're kind of screwed if you don't get to it right away.
Yeah, you are screwed, right? It's just it's there. There's nothing you can do to get underneath it unless you just throw salt everywhere.
So Kevin joins us back. You can find his content as he covers Fairgrounds. So we got live boots on the ground, as they say. And Kevin, I always think about you when the first time you appeared on this show with that great call of Pretty Mischievous. If you remember that last year where you went, I went Hoosier Philly, and you had Pretty Mischievous, and you just missed a huge daily double on that first episode that you had. So we're going to bring you back as we look into this Saturday, kicking off the late double with the Grade 3 Louisiana Stakes, a field of 7. And you've got some interesting horses in here, including a lot of names that you remember: Confidence Game, Red Route 1, Saudi Crown, for those that are dipping in just for Derby season. What's your first initial thoughts on the Louisiana Stakes?
Yeah, I mean, it's just two that pop out big time, right? With Smile Happy and Saudi Crown. They seem like they just are a little bit heads above the field. But then as soon as you just scratch the surface a little bit, everybody in here is interesting if things go their way. And then the pace is the second thing that hits my head, that this could be a very hot pace.
Yeah, and I guess that's, I always like to look at the Brisnet pace figures, and I have that slide for us to kind of to key in on. The prime power, this is something I always talk about. If you see a 10-point difference from the first horse to the second horse, you kind of have what you might consider as a standout. And Saudi Crown gets that 12-point difference over Smile Happy, and I've highlighted in red there under Smile Happy the 203-day layoff. And to me, that's something to certainly consider and think about. I read that Smile Happy is one of those horses that really didn't want to work and has given some problems, but is actually training up a little bit better now. And then you see all of that early pace that you talked about with the E8s and E7s mixed in there. But for me personally, I think Saudi Crown's the speed of the speed here, and he goes, and I'm not sure that anyone's able to keep up with him and hang with him. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, last time in the Breeders' Cup Classic, that Baffert horse, who was it,
Arabian Night.
Yeah, he got beat by him to the front, and he pressed, and he just got cooked, and they were going super fast, and I think that was a little bit longer than Saudi Crown wants to go. But that does give me some questions. That was his first time really facing older quality horses. 5-Star General isn't a need to lead, but is one that will be there every step of the way and can sustain that run, just like Saudi Crown can. We've only seen him really do it when he has that lead. If he gets behind, I'm not sure. It does seem like, Florent Giroux, Saudi Crown, he's going to go to the front. But what about Ray Gutierrez and Capuna? I don't see how they're not going to be cooking things out front as well. 5-Star General, people overlook Grant Forrester's older dirt route. speedsters, but they always are game. So I think those three are going to be knocking heads, and I want somebody from off the pace in here.
Don't tell me you're going Red Route 1, because I'll warn you that this is a horse I've continue to think this is the one he's going to close into and just does not get there. I think he's 0 for 6 at the distance. Probably this might be too short for a horse like Red Route 1. That's not the horse you're going with, are you?
No. But I gave him some serious consideration. I was talking to Steve today, and he says he's very anxious about the 4-year-old campaign. And it was kind of like a happy anxious, but also kind of like, what? But he says, the more ground, the better, obviously, for him. But the thing that's interesting about him is when he has Lasix, he's won his last 2. They've been with Lasix. So that's something. He should work out a great trip from the rail. He's interesting. But, I came down to Happy American, who, talking to Pessin, he was, I think he scratched out the Clark because he was just a little bit sick. And then he was, just that last race there at Tenacious, he wasn't quite 100% himself. But he is coming into this, and he's proven himself at the track. And if you look at thoroughgraph figures, he fits much better than if you look at some of the Brisnet and Beyer speed figures that you see. So he's very interesting to me. But Smile Happy, like you were saying, he's been given some troubles, right? In the what was it, in the Stephen Foster that they ran at Ellis Park last summer. He just stood there. They just delayed. They waited for the race because he wouldn't get in the gate. McPeak was telling me he's just a pure alpha, and he just does everything his own way. For a while at Oaklawn, he was only training going the wrong direction. Going the right direction. He'd only train going the wrong direction. So he's had him at his farm in Ocala. Has a good setup, a good routine for him. He's got some trepidation about whether he's going to be able to load or what's going to happen. So I make this pick with the caveat that I'll be watching him in the paddock and on the track. And if he just starts, kind of losing it or just being obstinate, I might take my bet off the table. But the way he ran to beat West Willpower and the Ali Sheba was one of the more impressive runs that I've seen in the past year. I thought for sure he would win the Breeders' Cup Classic after that. When he came back, when Brian Hernandez, his jockey, came back, I'm like, Brian, what were you doing pressing West Willpower? Like, that's not Smiles Happy's way. And he was like, he put himself there. That's what he wanted to do. He was happy. He was comfortable. And so that's the way we did it. So I feel like he is the real alpha in this field. And if he's going to run his race, he's going to win.
That's like such a double-edged sword, right? Because if he's the alpha and he goes out and runs like the alpha, then you're in a great spot, and he could just be like, I'm the boss and I'm doing what I want to do and I'm winning this race, right? The other side of that is he is everything you just said, right? I want to run the wrong way. I'm not going to go in the gate. Like, I'm doing what I want to do and I don't want to run today. So for me, and I love wild card horses like that. It's kind of attractive story to hear that he only wants to train one way. My biggest hesitation, and I guess the layoff's not as big as the price. 9 to 5 on a horse like that is kind of like I've landed on Saudi Crown, so I'll go with Saudi Crown. And you got to handicap the handicappers, and I'm awful at these spots where I think I know the clear favorite, and this is the one I'm going to single, and he's the one I'm taking. I'm usually either on the wrong one, or when I go wide, then the favorite like that wins. So I'll urge caution to my viewers, as they know from watching this show. I'm usually better spot when I am against a favorite and picking some longer shots. But to me, Saudi Crown, I think, is the class and is the speed, and is going to take this wire to wire. That's my hopes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great race. I love this field, and I'll be watching definitely to see what the probables and will pays are, because I agree with you. If at too short of a price, it's not the daily double is not the way I probably would want to express my Smile Happy opinion.
Yeah, and that leads right into the Lacombe Stakes, another race. I think as people watch my first look of the Lacombe Stakes, they might know where I'm going here. But you have two horses in Nash and Track Phantom that are similar to the last race. You get two that probably stand above the rest of the field, but you've got some interesting opportunities to go otherwise, such as Ethan Energy. I'll ask you here. We tape this on Tuesday night. I know Awesome Road is cross-entered at Turfway Park. Have you heard anything about where he's going to run?
Yeah, nothing official, but it does seem like it's going to be at Turfway. There may be some talk about a turf stake actually
Ah,
to ahead. So seeing that Axel Concepcion is named, he's got a full card of mounts at Turfway that day. So that made me
yeah.
think that, maybe not, but Cox is always one to keep everybody guessing with that stuff. So yeah, I don't think he'll be in there. I mean, it's basically like a mirror image of the gun runner, right? Track Phantom's got this tactical advantage of this outside position. Nash is on the inside. The big question is, will he go with them? Will he rate? What are we going to do?
Yeah, and I had mentioned Awesome Road took that same path as Instant Coffee last year, going from maiden to Breeders' Futurity to Kentucky Jockey Club right into the LeCompte. But like you said, and I did the same thing you did. I looked at the Concepcion entries at Turfway Park, and I said I think he's probably going there, especially with the other Brad Coxes in here, and maybe that gives a little credence as to how Brad might think about Nash. And then also a horse by the name of Ethan Energy, the number 5 here. This was a horse that had a victory at Fairgrounds, right, on a mile 16th on December 23rd. And one thing I've noticed about that day is that was a day that all the early speed was winning. And this was one of the few horses to be able to come and close from off the pace. And not only that, put up an 89 Brisnet speed figure. Another step forward here. This would be third race for this horse. Second off the layoff, sired by Uncle Mo. And you've got a Stone Street owned and bred horse. Ethan Energy was one that I was certainly intrigued by. Any interest there for you?
Yeah, I mean, wherever Louis Sai is,
Yeah.
I'm intrigued, right? That was a big run. He looked really impressive. One thing I did note is Giroux was really, really asking him big time in the turn and really through the stretch. What that means, I don't know the runner enough to sort of really tell a full story there. But I do like it better when I see a horse just kind of doing it without being asked, right? And doing it naturally and putting themselves forward and showing their run. Makes me think that maybe he could bounce. Maybe that was his race, that he really laid it all out in that one. But Louis Saez wants to get up. That sort of gets me thinking the other way. Of the two, I do prefer Nash, but I think we've seen this story before. I think with Angel of Empire, right? When he got that win, it was the other Cox horse, right? Maybe that was even the other Cox horse in that
Yeah.
race. That can be quite dangerous in here. So if the price is right, Ethan Energy definitely looked amazing last time.
You even have Next Level coming back, who also ran in the Gun Runner, was that horse that put Track Phantom in what we thought might be a predicament, right? By going so quick early. And I remember Steve Asmussen after that race saying, I thought they went way too fast on the backstretch. So the fact that Track Phantom was able to put away that horse and then Nash could never make up that ground on Track Phantom. I'll be honest, and I'm definitely going chalky here again. I'm gonna go with Track Phantom, but to this point, obviously Fierceness is, I think you'd agree, heading above everyone else that we've seen so far. In these I say 2-year-old, in these 3-year-old races, these are the races I love finding a horse that's not like Epicenter and finding that Call Me Midnight from 2 years ago in the LeCompte, right? Where Epicenter was the one coming in with the big story. And these are the races I think early in the Derby season where you can make some really good money by having a strong opinion that's not a horse like Track Phantom who's coming in with an impressive race off the Gun Runner. But to me, and from what I've seen so far in many of these races, Track Phantom is the one I'm actually probably most excited about because of A, the 2 victories at a mile on the 16th, and B, just the way that last race played out, which I had talked about as far as, really being under pressure and, I don't want to say making it look pretty easy, but he controlled that race.
He did. It's a race that I watched back a ton, and I actually wrote a piece about it. If anybody wants a breakdown up on Twinspire's Edge, I've got a breakdown of it, because if you look at the pace, that second call, that second fraction, Nash went 22 and change through there, right? He broke a little bit slow. It's not in the Equibase notes. He broke a little bit awkwardly, forced Florent Drew's hand to settle and to come from behind. He was in wide, got in tight behind, in between 2 horses in the backstretch, and they were cooking. They were cooking through that second call. And then there was a really interesting moment where he had Track Phantom in his sights, right? But it was the same moment that Sneed was coming from the outside with a big move. And I think Sneed is interesting in the Risen Star. So he's young, he's immature, and he had to split his attentions. He was going forward with his target, but he was getting past. You can see him. He just kind of like flips out a little bit. if you watch his workout recently, you can find it up on Bruno with the Works Kentucky Bred website. He's working in company with Saudi Crown. He's got Saudi positioned behind him by design. And it's a busy morning, and they're coming up on a bunch of other horses, and he really gets in that same position that he was in the gun runner, and he handles it professionally, and he stays above Saudi Crown throughout. It was a really good work to see. I think that was a learning moment for him. The price could be super short. Nash could very easily be the favorite in here. But I do like Nash above that in terms of he's able to learn, able to develop, and he won't get cooked through that second call and be in that tricky learning spot in the stretch.
Are you of the opinion that it's a 2-horse race between Nash and Track Phantom, assuming Awesome Road is out? Can Group's been trying the turf and is coming back out of the Breeders' Cup juvenile turf, I believe. Any of those other at the bottom there pique your interest at all?
For me, I think it's a 2-horse race, and it's almost a coin flip. Track Phantom was super impressive, and his form pattern showing that he could definitely step forward. I'd be surprised to see these DeSormo runners running here. Next Level, maybe Tizzy Indy. I'm not quite sure if he'll make the starting gates. Just my hunch on that one. Blinkers off for Next Level. He maybe won't be so sharp, and maybe he could pop, but he would have to take a huge step forward.
Yeah.
Lat Long is still learning, so if he has figured it out in the mornings, then he could be really dangerous. He definitely has looked good. Can Group, I mean, he's got a huge late kick. That doesn't usually work out very well at fairgrounds, but if they were cooking, he could come flying, and that could be your Call Me Midnight, that nails somebody at the wire. Ethan Energy, I don't think the value will necessarily be there, especially if we have these other scratches, but he would be the one that I would think that could get it done besides those two.
Yeah, and if folks out there are a fan of Can Group, one thing I will mention, right, is he doesn't have the victories over the dirt. But remember, those are his first 2 runs, right? And he finished behind Market Street and Timberlake and West Saratoga, who came back to win after that race at Ellis Park. And then he got moved to the turf. So I just caution people in saying that he might have, first 2 races could have learned a lot from the runs on the turf. And now moving back to the dirt is not necessarily a negative. And like you said, I think there could be some value there. So that would be the one that I'm leaving off my ticket that I might be, I'm scared of.
Yeah, I mean, Cassie's won 2 Lecomps, won it with War of Will and Enforceable 2 years in a row recently, so he knows how to get it done here.
So there you have it. I'm going to go with Saudi Crown into Track Phantom. I am going to include Ethan Energy on my ticket. As I said on our early preview, you got to take a stand for all those ticket people making a decision in this race here. You can't use Nash and Track Phantom. Be okay losing. Take a stand. Play your opinion. And you've got to go that way. And Kevin, you're just going ice cold, baby. 2-2.
2-2. And do I get $2 on mine since you get $2 on yours? Can I?
Well, mine
double it?
cost me $2.
I mean, can I pay 2?
You can pay 2. I would pay yours. As you mentioned in here, the big advantage of the daily double is looking at the will pays, right? So for my ticket, I would actually recommend. I just always do a dollar-based bet because it's easy for the viewers, but. For me, I would actually do something. If you're going to bet that Saudi into Track Phantom, you might want to do $5 on that one and then see what Saudi into Ethan's Energy is paying. And maybe you do $2 or $3 on that one. And that's how you got to play with that math to figure out what your best option is going to be, right?
Yeah, and that double pool is just a great starting point for figuring out all those things and trying to get a sense for how those horses are betting, are getting bet and how to do the math and how to work it out. And, some people press hard on the long shot and then kind of back up with the shorter price. And there's so different ways you can do it. Just, yeah, like you're saying, all about your opinion.
Looking forward to the Lecomte under the lights. That's one thing that always stands out about the Lecomte, Kevin. But as we wrap up here for all the Game of Silks fans that we're bringing onto the channel, there are plenty of maiden special weight races on Saturday for purses of $60,000. I think I saw 4 of them, and we didn't even touch upon the Silver Bullet Day. So for all these Silks players that have 3-year-olds now racing this year, there's a lot on the line at the fairgrounds. Yeah,
and Funny Flames, an interesting one from the Shane Wilson barn. He's run really good and just gets lost on the lead, past 2, putting blinkers on. I'm not sure if he's still for sale out there. You've got, I think it's on Thursday, A Pretty Woman is debuting from Steve Asmussen. She's been looking great in the mornings, working with Our Lady Aurelia. she's one you might want to look at. Do you guys buy lawbreds? Do you buy Louisiana breds on Game of Silks?
So it's a random. You pull the lever and you get a horse. And I actually have a horse out of the Lothenbach. Is that how you say his name? The stables there.
The Lothenbach.
Lothenbach. And my horse, my very first Game of Silks horse, ran at Delta Downs. His name was the Speedy One, and he got beat at the wire in a maiden claimer for 23,000. So I pick up the second place points. He gets to stay at that level. So it's good for me on the Speedy One. And then I have another horse running Saturday night at Turfway Park. So there's a little bit of, there's definitely randomness into who you mint. And those horses might be on the secondary market. But a lot of this is for a lot of people. All these 2-year-olds are now racing. So there's a lot of excitement in the environment of Game of Silk. So definitely pay attention on Saturday. I like Accommodate Eva in the Silver Bullet Day. Dallas Stewart's a horse trainer you always want to pay attention to on these undercards. Not that that's an undercard race, but I think that horse, if it can get the distance, she's an interesting choice in there.
Yeah, I mean, she went out to the Breeders' Cup, right? She is a Louisiana bred, so people aren't going to bet her. You know, you're going to get value on her, and she's been impressive, and Dallas is high on her. I think she's interesting in there. I think it might be a little bit wide open. I like Sistina Chapel. That's my pick in the Silver Bullet Day right now.
Very nice. So we will have you back again. Love having you on. This is info from Boots on the Ground down in Louisiana. Follow Kevin at Trust Your Luck on Twitter. Kevin, thanks so much, and we'll be in touch as we look at the Daily Double on Lecomte Day, and I will catch you next time.